So, ready for a few questions?
Ready.
All right. The first one's for Shanea. What difference did getting a CS degree for you do in your product career?
I think that I'm obsessed with having options, right? I'm obsessed with like not being pigeonholed. I think Peggy said this earlier in the keynote, that not pigeonholing yourself. And I think for me, there's like two schools of thought. Like, you don't need a technical degree to be a PM, which you absolutely don't. But then there are all these other jobs as a PM that do require you to have a technical degree. And so if I have the technical degree, then I am able to do any of them. And I think that that's really made the difference. I think that it provides an additional set of options, but also when I go into a company, it's never a question, right? And that just removes a bunch of stress from me. I can just do my job.
So basically it opens more doors.
It opens more doors, trying to get as many options. And it just kind of lets the perception of you just increase just a little bit, whether that's actually true or not.
Great. Question for you, Afton. How do you be that person people want to do favors for? What does that look like?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. For me, it was just really working really hard. I think that when I look back at all of the interactions that I've had, I always wanted to do what I said I was going to do. And I think that holding that reputation across my entire career and path, that's the one thing that you can control. You can't control the outcome, but you can control how you go about the process, and I've always tried to hold myself to that standard.
Great. Question for you, Shanea. Can you share a bit more about the process relating to informational interviews? Why did you decide to do them? How do you prepare for them?
I actually have, I don't make them as formal. I just say, hey, can I talk to you about whatever? I'm kind of toying around with the idea of also starting my own company. And so I did an informational interview with my friend who actually is doing like a YC startup. Mm-hmm. And she's super busy starting her company. She didn't answer my email. So I found her at dinner last night and I just asked her all of my questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be super, super formal. What's your experience? Tell me about this. And people love telling their story. So it doesn't necessarily have to be super, super formal.
Great. Afton, what was the biggest challenge/difference when going from PM to founder?
Oh gosh, there's so many. The biggest challenge or difference. I think that the hardest thing for me was hiring our first product manager and not doing product anymore and trying to remove myself from the product manager role and focus on the rest of the company instead. So if you can always spend a portion, you get to decide how you spend your time. But for me, I decided that we had an incredibly high bar for product management within our organization. And so our first product manager, Emily, is absolutely fantastic. And so for me, it was really investing in that relationship with her, building all of that trust, and then being able to spend, honestly, less time on product, more time on other things. And that was really hard. Product's fun.
Folks, we will take one more question after this. So if there's any other questions you'd like upvoted, please do that right away. So the question to the two of you is, recently I've been seeing a lot of articles about PM burnout and job dissatisfaction. What do you think about this, and do you have any advice for avoiding these?
I think burnout's a real thing, and I think it's just kind of what you said earlier about choosing how you spend your time, choosing and literally making a choice of that thing can wait till tomorrow, but also I think it kind of ebbs and flows, right? Of do I really want to put all my time and energy into this thing right now to get to this position, et cetera, et cetera? Do I really just want to go full steam ahead right before a launch and then take a step back to rejuvenate myself? I think it's really just taking a choice every single day, but be sure to really take care of yourself. Find those things that that help you to relieve some of the stress, or whether that's a glass of wine or going on a hike, or do whatever makes you feel good to rejuvenate yourself and actually take the time to do it, because it's really important.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I would just add, I think that that's spot on. I think it's really about understanding what energizes you. For me, if I have a day where I'm in Excel all day versus having meetings all day, I get an incredible amount of energy from meetings. And so when I think about kind of where I am at the end of the day, and looking at typically at this stage, a night full of work, it's just really thinking about what you need so that you are coming to work each day with as much energy as you possibly can. And I think that taking a step back and really trying to understand what gives you energy and what doesn't, and then if you can, structuring your day around that. It's not all of us. I can't do that every day, but I can do it some days. And I think that investing and truly understanding about yourself, I probably waited a bit too long to do that for myself.
Yeah, I actually second that point, because I had a career coach one time tell me to like go throughout your day and take a journal of like all the activities, and do you feel energized right after it, and do you or do you not, and like really take stock on what that is. And I get so much energy from meetings too. I don't know why, that's a weird thing, but like just people gathering and like, right, so it really helped me understand that.
All right, the last question, and I love that this question bubbled to the very top. This means you've really done your job of inspiring people to go found their own companies. Their question is, how did you find your co-founder, / I'm going to broaden it to how do you go about finding the right co-founder?
Oh, yeah. So I had the idea for Modern Fertility, and I really knew that with my background and kind of more product management, the business side of things, I really wanted someone that was kind of my creative counterpart. And so I started founder dating. It was actually this really hard move going from, okay, I'm going to start a company, to telling my friends that I was going to start this company. Like just the psychological jump to do that was probably one of the hardest things in the whole journey. But then, I started talking to friends, asking them if they would be interested in working on this thing, asking them for referrals from their friends. I joined every kind of meet founder site at the time that I could find. And what I would do is I would actually pay people out of my pocket to work with me on a specific project. And that was really helpful because it basically had this really high bar for accountability, where we had a consulting agreement in place, we had a work deliverable, and we were really trying to, in as efficient time period as possible, understand if for the next however many years we could spend every waking hour of most days in a room together. And so, that experience was great. And so I was introduced to Carly, my co-founder. She was at Uber previously, kind of doing a lot of creative and branding there. And she was fantastic. I was introduced through a mutual friend that I went to school with, and we had that first meeting, and she just couldn't get this idea of fertility out of her head. And so we just kept meeting, and I was spending more time with her, less time with other people, and then convinced her to quit her job, and we ended up doing Y Combinator at the beginning, and then raising our seed round at about the same, or pre-seed round at about the same time, and then kept going.
Great. That is all we have time for. I do see there are a bunch of other questions. Will the two of you be open to taking questions up front? So please come by, and thank you so much. Sorry we couldn't get through everything, but as I said, lunch is served next door as well as downstairs, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.